it's particularly our honor to be joined today by eminent guests, three eminently distinguished ambassadors. Our conversation this afternoon, as I discussed with the ambassadors, is going to center on innovation and where we think the European Union and the United States might find opportunities for partnership in that space. Where are you encouraged in terms of the EU and the United States partnering on innovation? Where do you see room for improvement? You've talked about the 28 countries and how well you're working together. How do we fit in?
Go ahead.
I believe there's room to grow in the European Union, as well. Quite clearly, some countries are more advanced than others. And the good news is that the European Union actually does spend on innovation also. So some of the cohesion funds that are given to the countries that were joined later, including mine, actually do benefit from funding for innovation. And those projects are quite smartly put together.
So those are applied for?
Yes, and they basically encourage industrial and academic cooperation. Also, many of them actually mandate this cooperation as well. Also, with this incredible growth a few countries have achieved in Europe, there's a shortage of labor, educated labor. And that's why the vocational, dualistic vocational schooling system is actually starting to reap its benefits. Now it's mandatory for schools to talk to industry and understand what the industry needs. And the curriculum in many vocational schools and universities are actually driven now by the needs of the industry, which is great. So when it comes to application of what's being taught at schools, I think we are getting better and better at this. And also, what Dirk mentioned, I think this whole idea of free movement of goods, financial services, people within the Schengen zone of the European Union, that's a huge advantage. This is probably one of the most important achievements of the European Union.
No tariffs.
Other than keeping peace between those countries. And that's why we are so eager to actually expand the European Union to the West Balkans as well, where obviously there's still more room to grow.
Thank you. Other comments related to
Well, maybe just
bilateral?
well, not so much bilateral maybe, but maybe related to what we can learn from each other and how we can cooperate. I think it has already been mentioned, the size of our markets, the financing, the knowledge that's there. And I think it's important to realize, both for the United States but also for Europe, that we need to cooperate and that we cannot, let's say, come up with solutions by ourselves, not only because knowledge is spread all over the world, but also because in terms of size of markets that are available. And that's why it's so important, talking about trade policy, by the way, another competence of the European Union. We have handed over part of our sovereignty when it comes to trade policy to the European Commission. That is very important that we cooperate and that we have, as I mentioned earlier, the public-private partnership component very strong in it. I have a few examples of where we work together. By the way, this is a Dutch-Belgium example, RedMed XB. We work together with Harvard on Stem Cell Institute and with the WISE Institute, more on regenerative medical solutions. So I think that's what we can learn from each other. And the Netherlands is a relatively small country, 17 million people only. So that's not only the reason why we were one of the founding fathers of the EU. I mean, that all started with the idea of no more war. But the internal market is very important for us, expanding our market. And in that respect, the United States is a very important market for us.
Thank you.
Sorry to come in, but I think that as the US and the European Union together still spend half of what is spent in the world on research and development. It's around 50%. I think there is a huge potential for cooperation. Now, some more concrete things. I once, maybe per accident, I was not a Sherpa at the time, but certainly, but I got involved in the negotiation of this big research program in the European Union, which has this terrible name, Horizon 2020, but it's it's one of the biggest government-sponsored research program, 80 billion, or it's a bit more now, euro, over 7 years. And that's where a lot of our universities and researchers try to get some support, but it's an open program, and the United States already is in more than 1,200 instances with researchers and research organizations is or has become the most important. And then for the rest, where personally I see more potential is in some of the sectors on which there is already some things going on, like ocean research. I mean, not so long ago, American and European researchers together have mapped the bed of the Atlantic. Also, I think health research, of course, and there I think there are a lot of possibilities to continue working together on infectious diseases, on developing new strategies for rare diseases, and also on the other ones, the chronic ones. And also I think on transport research with the use of artificial intelligence. I think there are also, when I look around, so many possibilities. And I would like to mention all, because academic cooperation. I mean, we know that our students, our researchers, our universities, of course, they love to work together with the American universities. That goes without saying. And there are also some tools available to facilitate that. I'm sure you've heard of the Marie Curie actions, which support researchers and research activities. And, but there are other programs that, and flagship programs that can intensify, I think, also the academic cooperation, which, I mean, the people-to-people contacts and cooperations will probably become more and more important in our transatlantic space.